Hey everyone, Sean Emmett here. Now barbecue season has started finally. It's taken a little while, but it's here. So I'm here at the Highwood Valley Ranch with Wade Nelson. He's going to show us his best barbecuing techniques and recipes. So Wade, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. So first off, why don't you tell us about the different cuts of steak you have here?
Okay, so I got kind of your basic steaks for the grill. So we have a sirloin steak, tenderloin steak, a nice big ribeye, and a New York or a strip loin steak.
And so what do you think is the best for barbecuing? What do you think cooks up the best?
Well, they're all great, but I mean, personally, I think the sirloin steak is the best for the barbecue season. It's the most affordable, and it's the right mix of tenderness and flavor, because that's kind of the trade-off. Your tenderloin is always great, but it is not that as much flavor because it's so tender. So if you're looking for just tenderness, your tenderloin is the best. It's also the most expensive cut. Your ribeye is probably the barbecue's favorite thing. There's lots of fat in it, lots of marbling. It is probably the fattiest cut of beef, or the fattiest steak you can get, which is something that people love to have. Sometimes the trouble with it is that it tends to flare, because there's so much fat, it can flare up on the grill. But it's definitely a great steak. The New York is similar to the sirloin. It's what would be on a T-bone steak. The T-bone is like a New York and a tenderloin, and that's why I don't like a T-bone steak. Because you're getting two different cuts of beef. I'd rather have tenderloin on Sunday and then have a New York on Monday.
Alright, great. So the reason we're here is I have one barbecuing technique right now, and that's get somebody else to do it.
Okay.
So, right from prep, let's get you to show us the best way to prep a steak, and then we'll move out to the grill. Okay,
well, I mean, it's pretty simple, I guess, is what the biggest thing to do is. But these steaks were all from frozen, so that's the start. If you are taking a frozen steak, the biggest thing is let it take time to thaw out. So thaw it in the fridge. Do not thaw it in the microwave. That's an absolute no-no. The slower it thaws, the more time it has for all those juices to soak back into the meat. And then once you're done that and they're all out of the wrapper, just take a paper towel and actually pat all that moisture dry off of there, off that steak. That just gets that moisture away. And then I just like to keep it simple as far as what we put on the steak itself. Just salt and pepper is great. Crack some pepper. I actually brought some whole gourmet sea salt, which is kind of nice for something like a sirloin, which has some good beef flavor. You can add some chili to actually compete against that flavor. Something like a tenderloin, you just want to leave it alone. Just maybe a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of pepper, because there's not as much beefy flavor. And we really want to emphasize, or at least we want to emphasize, that beefy, strong flavor.
So yeah, a lot of people marinate their steaks sometimes just in brine. Obviously, you don't see that completely necessary.
You know what? I mean, I'm not gonna. If that's what they want to do, that's great. I mean, it's all up to you. But as far as I'm concerned, I want to taste that beef flavor, and our product is definitely tender enough that you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, there's no rules, by the way.
No,
Wade or I won't show up at your
rules.
door if you marinate your steak.
Yeah, we're not going to come find you.
out of your hand. That's not going to happen.
That's right.
All right, so steaks are prepped. We're out at the grill. What's the first thing we need to do, Wade?
Well, we should turn the grill on and have it nice. But I guess other than that, we want to make sure the grill's clean. The biggest thing we can do is after you're done cooking, clean the grill, not before you start cooking, I guess. But sometimes it doesn't happen. But just a nice clean off. You can even take an old rag, a clean rag, and put some oil on it, grapeseed or canola oil, and just brush it, just like you would like a cast iron pan, because it helps season that, which always helps a little bit. But yeah, usually I have like a hot side and a cold side. So this left side's my hot side, and this is the cooler side. So the heat is on; it's actually on low. So there's still some heat there, but it's definitely not gonna burn it. That's so that if, say, someone does want that more well done steak, you just put it to the side. It doesn't have to sit on that hot side and just burn and burn and burn.
Don't get a piece of shoe leather.
That's right. And you don't. And I mean, you want that nice crosshatch. Everyone looks for those nice crosshatches. But if you have to let them sit there and just burn and burn, you're going to get a bitter taste from that black burnt meat. So yeah. So we brought the sirloin and the ribeye out. Ribeye, just did some nice cracked black pepper and some salt, some kosher salt. So if you put it on that kind of 45-degree angle, and this will, so you can get that nice diamond. And here's the sirloin. So these are obviously different thicknesses. So we'll just have to wait and see. But you can drop that lid and we'll come back to hopefully flipping them over to a nice cross-up.
Perfect.
Alrighty. Okay, so it's been, what, a couple minutes?
Yep.
So the biggest thing is leave the steaks alone. It's the guy that wants to be on there all the time. Let the barbecue do its work. So we haven't moved it. We've just essentially put it down. So now we're at that nice kind of a crosshatch. You can see that. Just turn that steak straight now. And that's going to give us that diamond look. So we can do that the same thing with this nice sirloin. And we're done again. You can start to see that there's a little bit of blood coming up, a little bit of juices coming up. That's a good sign. That means that it's getting closer and closer to that medium rare point. This ribeye is taking a little bit of time, but he's almost half again as thick as the other one. So we're just going to give it lots of time. It's almost like putting it in the oven, nice and slow and nice and low. So I'm going to take this. This is our sirloin. Our ribeye is a little bit time off. It's still pretty rare. But that's okay. And again, that's what I mean. If you want to bring it in closer to some more heat, just move it over. This is our good side. The underside, we're not worried about how it looks. If it's got a few extra lines on it, not a big deal. So, but the biggest thing is with this now, we're going to let it sit. Just give it some time. I know it's the hardest thing is to take it off the grill and give it to your buddy because he's been beating on you, waiting for it. But you want to let it sit a little bit. It'll carry over cooking just a little bit, and it gives it time for the moisture to seep back into that muscle tissue. So you get all that moisture. Otherwise, when you cut into it, you'll just get all that moisture fall out onto the plate, and you want that in your steak and then into your mouth. So let it sit for a little bit.
So it's a waiting game.
It's a waiting game. Everyone just needs to
Good thing comes
be cool
to those who wait.
That's right. That's right. So there, we just cut it in half. That's where you want it. We let it sit for about 3 minutes. I know it's hard to keep waiting, but that's kind of that medium, perfect. And you see you didn't lose a whole bunch of moisture, and we're ready to start eating. We're going to cut it up. I'll take the ribeye off, and then we'll be ready to have something to eat.
Alright, so this is the sirloin. Wade did all the work. I'm going to take it from here. And yeah, since it's rude to talk with your mouth full, I'll see you in a bit. That's it for Barbecuing 101. Big thanks to Wade from Highwood Valley Ranch for showing us how to properly cook a steak. To show, you know what, don't be afraid to cook a steak your way, just be patient is pretty much.
That's right, take your time.
Alright, well we have a lot of steak to eat, so signing off, I'm Sean Emmett.